Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, the state is stepping up enforcement of yellow flag laws in the wake of the Lewiston mass shooting. Plus, the Department of Health and Human Services is accused of making mistakes before a 6-week-old baby was killed by his father. And we'll also see what the state is doing to improve an important bridge in Machias. Good morning, everyone. I'm Craig Colson. Emma Smith has the day off. We thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories and much more coming up in just a few moments. I'll tell you about a little I understand that there is a fire underway in Hamden. It broke out on the Carmel Road within the past hour. Crews from several departments are now heading to the scene. We don't have a lot of information at this point, but we do know that crews have blocked off Carmel Road. So if you're heading in that area, you may want to avoid more because you will deliver. As soon as we have more on that fire, we'll certainly pass it on to you. All right, going to shift gears now and talk about today's forecast. Looking like a pretty nice day today. Partly sunny skies. Should see more sun as the day rolls along. Here's Devin Biggs with all the latest.
And thank you very much. Happy Thursday. 102 Garland Street in Bangor, your one-stop shop for groceries, fine wines, and craft beers. Quality and variety await you at Joe's. As we get into things this morning, overall not too bad. We have a partly cloudy sky tracking from the west and going toward the east this morning, so we're going to be seeing a lot of sunshine out there. Just a few passing clouds from time to time in a few areas, though. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty quiet day. A little bit of a gust of wind from time to time in a few spots, but overall, not too bad as we do move forward. A partly cloudy sky will be common in a few areas for today. Overnight tonight, maybe a few areas of dense fog developing. We may have to watch for that as we head towards tomorrow morning. As for the winds, not too bad out of the northwest at around 5, maybe up to 10 miles per hour at times. A few higher gusts cannot be ruled out. As we head towards tomorrow, some higher gusts even up to 20 miles per hour cannot be ruled out. So have to watch for more gusty winds as we head towards tomorrow. Lower 50s today and a partly cloudy sky and breezy. Northwest wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour. Overnight tonight, upper 20s and a partly cloudy sky. South wind at around 5 miles per hour. Moving ahead towards tomorrow, middle 50s, mostly cloudy, warm and breezy. South wind at around 25 miles per hour. Hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, a mixture of clouds and sunshine. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
Looks like a real nice day. Thank you very much, Devin. We'll see you later on. More potentially dangerous Mainers are having their guns or weapons taken away from them. Since the Lewiston mass shooting 3 weeks ago, the state's so-called yellow flag law has been used 17 times already. As Mal Meyer reports, some of those people threatened to copy the suspect.
Auburn police took the call.
It was apparent that the person needed to be taken into protective custody.
A 20-year-old man was attempting suicide by stabbing himself in the stomach last Friday. According to a description from the Attorney General's office, he said he was going to be, quote, the next Robert Card.
That's a pretty significant statement.
Given everything that's transpired over the last few weeks, yes. Very concerning.
He says Auburn police have pursued weapons restriction orders before, but those didn't work out. This time it did.
We've just run into some issues.
The Saginaw County Sheriff's Office has faced the same challenges to getting an order granted. But last week, a 27-year-old locked himself in his parents' garage with a pistol. He was writing and reading a suicide note to his wife.
This specific case, the subject was transported to the hospital, was later placed in protective custody, and the weapon restriction order process was followed through on.
The Saginaw County Sheriff's Office is facing tough questions over why it was not used on the Lewiston shooting suspect before he went on to kill 18 people and wound others. That despite being repeatedly contacted about Robert Card II's deteriorating mental health and access to guns. Do you have any thoughts on why that might be, why more departments might be using this now?
I think it's just a matter of being extra cautious.
But Lieutenant Harrington isn't sure if law enforcement will feel more pressure to use this moving forward.
I couldn't really say. We're certainly going to do our jobs and do our job to the best of our abilities.
Mal Meyer is reporting. In other news, a rollover crash snarled traffic on I-95 in Etna yesterday afternoon. Maine State Police report the crash involved multiple vehicles, including a commercial vehicle. It happened near mile marker 164 northbound around 3 p.m. The crash remains under investigation. As soon as we have more information, we'll pass it on to you. The Maine Warden Service is seeking information regarding 2 illegally killed moose, one in Washington County, the other up in Aroostook County. Maine Operation Game Thief is also offering a reward of $3,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible. The Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife says they received a report of a dead moose in Washington County in the town of Baileyville. An investigation showed the moose was shot from the Grand Falls Road on November 10th and was left to waste. Game wardens are also looking for information regarding a moose that was illegally killed on a logging road known as County Road 15 off Route 11 up in Aroostook County. Wardens have determined that moose was also shot during the night of November 8th during the early morning hours of November 9th, also left to waste. Anyone with information is encouraged to contact Operation Game Thief at 1-800-ALERT-US. Again, a reward is being offered in that case. A man accused of claiming to be a police officer reportedly Belanger of North J is charged with impersonating a public servant, disorderly conduct, and trespassing. Authorities say Belanger entered Spruce Mountain Middle School last week as a student was leaving. He left after being questioned by school staff, but is also accused of entering the high school after he couldn't get into the local elementary school. According to the Sun Journal, Belanger told school officials he was a police officer. He reportedly made a scene in the lobby and was physically removed and arrested. Belanger was later released on $500 bail and has now been banned from the local school district. A new report by a state watchdog agency finds the state made unsound safety decisions with the family of an infant killed in Brewer back in the spring of 2021. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard has more on what investigators say was a failure at multiple levels within the Office of Child and Family Services.
This case presents numerous examples in which there were errors on top of errors and an ongoing inability by the department to recognize the simple lack of protective capacity.
Peter Schleck is the director for the Maine Office of Program Evaluation and Government Accountability, a state watchdog agency that is conducting evaluations of DHHS case files regarding child deaths. According to Schleck, there were no interactions between Child Protective Services and the family of Jaden Harding during his short life, but there was a long history prior.
Jaden lived just 6 weeks, but Jaden had 3 half-siblings. And there is a history here that is in the report that goes back 10 years.
In those 10 years, Schleck says there were 2 instances in which protection workers made poor safety decisions with regards to Harding's 3 half-siblings.
Decisions about the prior 3 children are highly relevant to any future children born because it sets the stage for what is to come.
Jaden Harding's father, Ronald Harding, was convicted and sentenced for violently shaking Jaden on Memorial Day 2021, resulting in his death the next day. According to Schleck, Harding did not appear to be a threat to Jaden's safety.
Ronald Harding did not appear from our review to have presented earlier actionable safety threats to Jaden.
Schleck went on to say, had Jaden and the other children been removed from the home, he likely could have ended up in the custody of Ronald Harding, which might not have changed the ultimate outcome. We reached out to DHHS for comment about the testimony and received the following response, quote, "The department shares in the anger and deep sadness that families and communities feel upon the tragic death of a child. We continue to ask ourselves what more could be done to prevent such tragedies." To read the full report, you can visit our website. At the State House, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Meanwhile, the superintendent of schools in Wiscasset is recommending the school committee fire the principal of the town's middle high school, saying she can no longer be trusted. Brad Rogers looks at the allegations that led to this and the controversy that's dividing the school and the town.
Wiscasset Superintendent Kim Anderson is recommending that middle high school principal Gina Stevens be fired. This week, she detailed the accusations against Stevens, who denies any wrongdoing. Among the allegations against Principal Gina Stevens, that she installed a hidden camera in a classroom closet where items had gone missing. She told students to stop changing clothes in that closet, but 2 did anyway. The superintendent also says Principal Stevens indefinitely removed a student against policy and that she mistreated students and staff.
This is about some serious, in my opinion, lapses of judgment. I believe that Gina believes she did nothing wrong. You have to be accountable for your actions.
And there's going to be documentary evidence that the superintendent was aware of the hidden camera.
Attorney Greg Frame plans to respond to each of the allegations against Principal Stevens.
She really feels like she did nothing wrong. She feels like she's got an amazing support from the Wiscasset community. And no matter what decision the school board makes, she wants the public to understand what went into that decision. And she thinks she'll ultimately be returned to her position.
Normally, personnel matters are heard behind closed doors. In this case, Principal Stevens requested proceedings be public.
It should have been kept private so that the community and the students and the staff didn't have to feel so divided.
Yeah, I think this whole controversy has just torn the town apart.
Principal Gina Stevens remains on a paid administrative leave. No date has been set for her dismissal hearing.
That was Brad Rogers reporting. A delegation of state employees and others plan to deliver more than 1,000 letters to Governor Mills today. Workers in the executive branch of Maine's government have been working with expired contracts since the first of the month. The letters are being delivered because the workers claim the state's bargaining team has so far refused to address their demands for better pay. They say there's a gap between what state employees are making compared to those doing similar jobs in the private sector. The letters will also ask the governor to fill more than 2,000 vacant state jobs to help improve the quality of services offered around the state. Mainers have a new option if they want to escape to a warmer climate this winter. Breeze Airways is opening up a new route between Portland and Fort Myers, Florida. It will operate on Wednesdays and Saturdays, adding to the flights the airline already offers to the Sunshine State. Breeze Airways says fares on the new nonstop flights start at just $69 one way if purchased by November 21st. You would have to travel between January 8th and February 7th to take advantage of that price. Breeze also offers flights to Orlando and Tampa, along with seasonal service to Charleston, South Carolina, to New York, Virginia, and Pittsburgh. They aren't alone either. Allegiant Air is also beginning a new service from Bangor to Punta Gorda, Florida, Punta Gorda Airport in Florida. To celebrate, the company is offering one-way flights for as low as just $60. The new flights will operate twice weekly, and tickets must be purchased by November 18th to take advantage of those. So you just have a couple of days if you want to head down to Florida, take advantage of those cheap tickets. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, Maine DOT will be working to preserve the Machias Dike Bridge after recent inspections showed soil deterioration and faulty culverts in the area. Doug Banks with that story.
The first step in a multi-year project will begin with a temporary maybe bridge.
Now this is the Sunrise Trail right across here, and then it runs this way all along the river to East Machias. So they will have to put something on these two lanes and something on the Sunrise Trail, and they'll just lay it right on top.
Maine DOT's original plan was to construct a free-flowing bridge, but later determined the best approach was to modernize the current structure. Down East Salmon Federation disagrees with that approach and argues a free-flowing bridge would rejuvenate salt marsh in the Middle River, which in turn would help decrease road and trail washouts.
We worked hard on, some artistic renderings of showing what a bridge would look like. They decided to say, well, we're going to put in a temporary bridge for a number of years. I don't quite understand how they arrived at that conclusion.
However, the Maine Department of Transportation says they're trying to prevent flooding for residents who live along Middle River.
There's still a lot of work to do with the federal government, regulatory agencies, permitting, design. That process was urgent before this latest change. It's become more urgent now.
The construction of the temporary road and walkway will shut down the bridge for approximately a week. To stay informed about detours and new vendor setups, updates will be posted on the Town of Machias' website and social media accounts.
The longer term question is how long? How long is it going to be like this? We'll have to wait and see.
In Machias, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And the time now is 8:14. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, we'll tag along as Bucksport students tour a special aquaculture research facility. The hope is that some may be inspired to join the effort. But first, another check of your weather forecast. It looks like a nice partly cloudy day today. It will be breezy with highs near 52 degrees. Partly cloudy overnight with lows dropping down to the upper 20s. Tomorrow, a mostly cloudy day with highs near 55.
The Black Friday sales event is here at Quirk Ram in Bangor and Belfast. Save 10% off MSRP on all 23 Ram 1500s in stock. It's your Ram, find it at Quirk, celebrating 50 years.
U.S. Cellular is built for Maine. It's a network for telling inside jokes from across the country. Built for streaming your favorite song 1 more time, 10 more times. Built for capturing the moments you'll never forget. U.S. Cellular is proud to have been awarded top performing network availability in Maine, with coverage across all counties. U.S. Cellular, a network built for us.
I'm sorry. I cannot let you in here.
The only thing that should be in a baby crib is a baby. Letting a baby sleep with blankets and toys can be dangerous. Learn how safe sleeping practices can save your baby's life at safesleepforme.org.
Fall is here in Maine, and if you're in need of a safe SUV for your family, Ford Hyundai has just what you're looking for. Lease the 24 Kona SE for $279 per month and enjoy complimentary maintenance for 3 years or 36,000 miles. It's your Hyundai. Find it at Quirk.
There's a reason why Maine's state slogan is the way life should be. It's because our beautiful state is full of humble people, workers, business owners, and neighbors making a difference in their community. I'm always looking for positive and encouraging news stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. How fortunate am I that I get to share these special stories? Watch the good news weekdays on Fox 22 News at 10.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. A group of students from the Bucksport Middle School spent their day holding fish instead of pencils. Our Grace Blanchard followed them along a tour of an aquaculture research center that hopes to inspire more students to explore the field.
This is a very unique facility that doesn't exist anywhere else in the state on this scale.
Center for Cooperative Aquaculture Research in Franklin is a state-of-the-art recirculating aquaculture facility, which means aquatic organisms are all cared for on land.
In terms of New England, in terms of Maine, there's nothing else like this really that exists. So to be able to bring kids here is really unique.
The center works in partnership with the University of Maine Cooperative Extension to introduce the next generation to aquaculture opportunities in the state.
We can bring them here and really immerse them in it and see this is what you could do for a job in Maine.
Students at Bucksport Middle School got a full tour of the research facility, taking themselves out of the classroom and into the fish tanks.
They can expect to feed fish, so that's the most exciting part probably, is when the kids get their hands on, seeing fish, seeing them jump out of the tanks.
And the students would agree.
It's a cool transition from sitting in the class doing papers on it and then actually getting to see and touch the different creatures.
I think people should really get into this stuff because I think it's fun and I think a lot of people would enjoy it.
And these tours will soon be made available to students across the state, thanks to the use of virtual reality.
It's just a way to teach something about aquaculture that's really making a core memory for them. And so that's the heart of experiential learning.
Seeing the excitement on the kids' faces never gets old. It really makes this job worth doing and makes me excited to come to work every day.
In Franklin, Grace Blanchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Looks like a great day for them. Meanwhile, a hub for good times for all ages in the Bangor area will be seeing some upgrades. The Sports Arena has announced a new owner will be taking over the beloved hangout spot. Brent Atkins says he's excited to be taking over the Bangor staple, which features fun activities including bowling, arcade games, and mini golf. Atkins says he's also adding new entertainment like a golf simulator, a stage for live music, and much more that will all be unveiled in the coming weeks. While they are making improvements to everything from aesthetics to the arrangement of the ticket prizes, he says his highest priority will be putting the interests of the Bangor area community first.
It's something I'm proud of, and it's something that people come and enjoy, you know, especially now with things being tough. The economy is tough, you know, so when people make that decision to come out and spend time with their family, I want to make sure that if they choose us, they chose right.
Atkins says all gift cards and reservations made before January will still be honored. The new hours and website will also be up and ready by January. To stay tuned for now, you can visit thesportsarena.biz. Congratulations to him. Hopefully everything turns out wonderful. All right, the time now is 8:20. Coming up after the break, an organization in Milo is making sure no one goes without a holiday feast on Thanksgiving. We'll hear about their special gift to the community. Plus, protesters clash with Capitol Police as they call for an end to the fighting in the Israel-Hamas war. All the latest as Good Morning Maine continues.
Tomorrow morning on Star 97.7, Paul Dupuis has the music and fun. Sonny Shepard brings you Star 97.7 local news, and Steve McKay with the weather. Turn on your radio and get the Star treatment with Star 97.7.
My father worked at the mill for over 30 years. He was exposed to a great community and excelled at his job, but he was also exposed to asbestos. The air quality inside the mill was always his biggest complaint. He had no idea how deadly some of the products and materials were. When he was diagnosed with mesothelioma, we knew to call Joe Bornstein's office to get my dad the help he needs and the justice he deserves.
Call Joe today for a free case evaluation. There's never a fee unless you win.
Nice. DraftKings Sportsbook is live in Maine. You'll be so dialed into every play that you forget to eat your wings. You made my wings cold, DraftKings. Flailing your arms like you can disrupt the free throw. Miss, fool! And a home run will have you crying like it's the birth of your child. I'm so happy.
DraftKings Sportsbook is live in Maine. New customers, download the app now and bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Because life's more fun when you're in on the action. The crown is yours.
Yeah.
If you think you have Dupuytren's contracture, there's a simple test you can take. From anywhere, try to lay your hand flat against the surface. If you can't, you may have Dupuytren's contracture. Talk to a hand specialist about your options, including non-surgical treatments.
For the first time, the Maine Association of Broadcasters named a television station of the year for excellence. ABC 7 and Fox 22 are honored to be the very first in awards achieved.
Tomorrow morning on Star 97.7, Paul Dupuis has the music and fun. Sonny Shepard local.
Well, it never really gets old, and Milo is no different. As they prepare for Thanksgiving, they want to make sure that no one will go hungry this year. Our Matthew Juronsik has the story.
Every November, the staff at Dyer's Hope House in Milo looks to make a difference for families who don't have the means to celebrate Thanksgiving, providing them with a holiday-themed box.
It means being able to provide for people who may not necessarily otherwise be able to provide this kind of meal for themselves. It enriches the giver as well as the recipient.
Families will receive a turkey, cranberry sauce, stuffing, and potatoes. It'll also come with some vegetables and sweets to help make the box feel like a traditional Thanksgiving meal. Yet Cram says it's less about the food and more about putting smiles on families' faces.
Certainly a lot of gratitude involved with it. Again, these are people who may not necessarily otherwise be able to afford the materials necessary to celebrate Thanksgiving. They need it.
Cram says planning for the occasion happens as early as late August, and a need is more dire than past years.
Today we have about 122 families signed up right at this point. Demand really has increased, I think about 20% from last year. We had about 90.
Despite the increase, Cram is thankful for the local businesses who stepped up and channeled the true meaning of Thanksgiving.
I think what we have here in these very small communities that we serve is a lot of civic responsibility, civic duty, and they respond to that in that way.
The boxes will be distributed to families starting Monday. In Milo, Matthew Juronsik, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Nice thing they're doing there. Well, the time now is 8:24. Time to get a full look at our weather forecast. Here's Devin.
And thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Joe's Market. Discover Joe's Market, 102 Garland Street in Bangor. Your one-stop shop for groceries, fine wines, and craft beers. Quality and variety await you at Joe's. As we get into things this morning, a partly cloudy sky is being seen across the region, tracking from the northwest and going toward the south and east. We have a cold front tracking in from the north and west and going toward the south and east. As we do move forward for it today, we'll be watching for a little bit of wind up to around 20 miles per hour and a few spots as we do move forward. Wave heights right around 3 to 9 feet according to the buoys out there, courtesy of an area low pressure located out towards sea right now. We'll be watching out for a little bit more wind as we do move forward. A partly cloudy sky will be common for us today. We'll be watching out for a mostly clear sky for a while later on tonight. Maybe some areas of dense fog developing as we head towards early Friday morning, and more clouds developing again as we head throughout the afternoon period for your Friday as well. Now as we move forward though, we're going to be watching for a little bit more rain on the way as we head towards early Saturday morning. Continuing throughout the day Saturday as well as some gusty winds up to around 20 to 25 miles per hour. A little bit of snow will be passing through as we head towards Saturday night and the parts of Sunday morning. But once we get this out of here though, we'll be looking pretty good as we head towards your Sunday. Otherwise though, rainfall around 1 to 2 inches of rain possible in a few spots before we're all finished up. So locally higher amounts will be possible with the rainfall as we head towards your Saturday as well. Make sure we're ready for that. Maybe a little bit of gusty winds today up to 20 miles per hour. Backs off later on tonight as we head towards tomorrow. Some more gusty winds will be on the way, reaching up around 25 miles per hour at times. So that forecast coming up for today, lower 50s, partly cloudy and breezy. That northwest wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour at times. Overnight tonight, upper 20s, partly cloudy. That south wind at around 5 miles per hour. For tomorrow, middle 50s, mostly cloudy, warm and breezy. And that south wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour. Here's a look at your extended forecast brought to you by Joe's Market. Rain will be likely on Saturday, highs in the low 50s, lower 40s Sunday in a partly cloudy sky, and lots of sunshine on Monday with highs in the upper 30s.
Family owned and operating in the Bangor area for more than 10 years. Crosby's Welding is here to help you. We specialize in steel, stainless steel, and aluminum welding and fabrication. We serve many of the local industries from Maine lobstermen to the commercial trucking industry and everything in between. Fully mobile on-site construction services right down to custom signs and fire pits. Fast, friendly, reliable service. Give us a call today for a free estimate, 974-7815.
Black Friday deals are happening now at the Furniture Gallery. Gather your family for a holiday meal with this 5-piece dining set, only $3.99. Looking for more family room seating? How about recliners starting at $2.99 and sofas just $3.99? Update your guest room with an Ashley Queen 5-piece bedroom set for $8.99. And don't forget the mattress starting at just $2.99. My family is here to provide you with the best value for your money on brands like these. The Furniture Gallery in Augusta, Bangor, Newport, and North Windham.
Welcome to season 22 of Hell's Kitchen. The American dream.
The American dream is freedom.
Overcoming adversity.
Work hard. Sacrifice.
Always believe in the power of your dreams.
Breaking news. It's Hell's Kitchen. What planet are you on? This is absolutely insane. That's raw. Come on, guys. I do not get it. Hold on, there's more. Stop rushing. What's happening? Look at me in the eyes. Embarrassing. How is this possible? Don't look so shocked.
Hell's Kitchen, Thursdays on Fox, and watch anytime on Hulu.
Looking for your dream home? Contact a Next Homie today and see what's available right now. Sellers, get ready to get looped and get sold. With Next Home Experience, we have your buyers.
Welcome back, everyone. Now to the nation's capital, where crowds calling for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war clashed with U.S. Capitol Police. The two sides came to blows outside of the Democratic National Committee headquarters last night on Capitol Hill. The melee comes as Israel's ground operation in Gaza presses on, and as multinational efforts continue to free Israeli hostages that Hamas is holding captive. ABC's Justin Finch has the latest.
Chaos on Capitol Hill overnight. U.S. Capitol Police and protesters demanding Israeli forces and Hamas militants cease fire in Gaza, brawling outside the Democratic National Committee headquarters late Wednesday.
It was so immediate. As soon as we got out here, it seemed like we weren't welcome.
Demonstrators deny Capitol Police reports that the event was illegal and violent. Authorities say at least 6 officers were injured and at least 1 protester was arrested for assaulting an officer. Congressman Brad Sherman says he was among a number of congressional leaders forced to evacuate their Democratic headquarters.
Neither side, neither the right nor the left, should engage in criminal behavior, attack police, or even disrupt other people's meetings.
Meantime, in Gaza, Israel now claiming control of the 9-building Al-Shifa medical complex. Israeli forces saying troops uncovered proof Hamas was holed up there, pointing to what they say is Hamas weaponry found in an MRI room.
There is an AK-47, there are cartridges, ammo, there are grenades in here, of course, uniforms.
ABC News could not independently verify those claims, and Israel has not yet provided evidence supporting its allegations that Hamas has tunnels under the hospital. An Al-Shifa doctor telling ABC's Matt Gutman 40 patients died after the ICU ran out of oxygen.
So we started 6 days ago with 63 patients in the ICU. Now we have 20 patients only in that.
Israel also releasing images it says shows its military delivering medical supplies. Sources tell ABC News the U.S. and Qatar are making headway on a ceasefire deal, calling for Hamas to release at least 50 Israeli hostages in exchange for Israel releasing dozens of jailed Palestinians. But sources say the two sides differ on how long that ceasefire would last. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
And now to the California summit between President Biden and the Chinese president. The two leaders appearing to strike a friendlier tone after months of rising tensions. ABC's Lionel Moyes with that story.
And I believe there are some of the most constructive and productive discussions we've had.
President Biden sounding optimistic after a marathon 4-hour summit with China's President Xi Jinping. Biden making 2 major announcements, including a new push to crack down on the export of fentanyl. And the biggest news, both leaders agreeing to resume military-to-military communications.
Those were cut off last year after Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, and China had suspended those talks of retaliation. In addition to that, these two countries are agreeing to work together to curb the flow of precursor chemicals for fentanyl. And an administration official had earlier said China is going to directly go after specific companies that are making those precursor chemicals.
Biden and Xi projecting a friendlier relationship, taking this stroll through a garden at the site of the summit outside San Francisco. But asked whether he trusts President Xi, Biden said,
I trust but verify, as that old saying goes. My responsibility is to make this rational and manageable, so it doesn't result in conflict.
Many difficult issues remain, like the future of Taiwan and the theft of U.S. intellectual property. President Biden last night was asked whether he would still refer to Xi as a dictator.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different.
And that first time Biden has referred to Xi as a dictator. Overnight, the Chinese Foreign Ministry responded.
Platforms to include legitimacy claims over the 2020 election. It's all part of a company-wide change to cut back on restrictions on the 2024 campaign advertising. Ads on Facebook and Instagram will be able to claim previous elections were rigged or stolen, but cannot question the legitimacy of present or future elections. Meta is among other platforms, including YouTube and X, formerly Twitter, that have updated their election policies leading up to the upcoming presidential elections. So get ready for all those political ads. They're coming to a TV or a computer near you. All right, coming up on the second half of our newscast today, we'll join volunteers as they help pack hundreds of boxes with Thanksgiving meals in Brewer, food that will help families all across the state. We'll have the details coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Don't get cold feet this winter. Stay warm and dry with high-performance footwear from Comfort Shoes and More. With an extensive selection of winter boots rated from 0 to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll find comfort in knowing your feet will be warm in any weather. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear with grippers built right into the sole. With boots in stock up to 6E and size 17 for men and women. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
On the next Last Man Standing.
Look at the three of you. You're like the more beautiful Charlie's Angels. Ooh, I told Sarah. No, Jacqueline Smith. No, Cameron Diaz. Which angel am I? Charlie.
Vanessa's little sister is back in town.
April was just catching us up on her awesome life. It's like a Kate Hudson rom-com.
Oh, I should take this call in the den.
Hey, your phone didn't ring.
Just let me go.
Last Man Standing.
This afternoon, starting at 4 on Fox 22. You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back, folks. Today is Thursday, November 16th, 2023. It's also Great American Smokeout Day. Created by the American Cancer Society, this day challenges smokers to give up cigarettes for 24 hours. The hope is that will lead toward quitting forever. It all began with an event back in 1970 when a guidance counselor in Massachusetts asked people to give up smoking for a day and donate the money they would have spent on cigarettes to a high school scholarship fund. The Cancer Society would hold their first smokeout several years later, but despite the effort, almost 500,000 people continue to die from smoking-related illnesses each and every year. All right, on this day in history, back in 1801, the first edition of America's oldest newspaper was published. The New York Evening Post was established by Alexander Hamilton, one of our nation's founding fathers. In 1940, the newly created Federal Reserve Bank opened in 12 cities across the country. In 1960, Marshall escorted 4 6-year-old African-American girls to previous all-white schools in New Orleans. They had to be protected because of death threats and race riots. In 1973, President Richard Nixon last passed a law, and finally 2001, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was released, kicking off an incredible series of books and movies that capture the adventures of the young wizard at his time at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Today's birthdays: Pete Davidson is 30 years old today. Actress Maggie Gyllenhaal is 46, or Gyllenhaal rather, and jazz singer Diana Krall is 57. We wish them a very happy birthday. And if they were here today, they would have a delightful day in Maine. Looks like a partly cloudy day, seeing lots of sunshine this afternoon too. Here's Devin with the details.
And thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Joe's Market. Discover Joe's Market, 102 Garland Street in Bangor. Shop for fine wine and craft beers. Quality and variety await you at Joe's. As we begin this morning, overall not too bad. We have a partly cloudy sky tracking from the west and going toward the east this morning, so we're going to be seeing a lot of sunshine out there. Just a few passing clouds from time to time in a few areas, though. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty quiet day. A little bit of a gust of wind from time to time in a few spots, but overall, not too bad as we do move forward. A partly cloudy sky will be common in a few areas for today. Overnight tonight, maybe a few areas of dense fog developing. We may have to watch for that as we head towards tomorrow morning. As for the winds, not too bad out of the northwest at around 5, maybe up to 10 miles per hour at times. A few higher gusts cannot be ruled out. As we head towards tomorrow, some higher gusts even up to 20 miles per hour cannot be ruled out. So have to watch for more gusty winds as we head towards tomorrow. Lower 50s today, a partly cloudy sky and breezy. Northwest wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour. Overnight side, upper 20s and a partly cloudy sky. South wind at around 5 miles per hour. Moving ahead towards tomorrow, middle 50s, mostly cloudy, warm and breezy. South wind at around 25 miles per hour. Hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, a mixture of clouds and sunshine. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
Looks nice. Thank you very much, Devin. Well, from Madawaska to Portland, from Eastport to Berwick, more people across the state will have a Thanksgiving meal because of an effort organized by Food and Medicine and Brewer. Nearly $80,000 was raised to help purchase fresh produce from farmers and food producers. And on Wednesday, organizations including the VZ School, youth groups, Boy Scouts, and unions all gathered to put those food boxes together.
This is our 21st year. It slowly has increased every year. There's far more need than what we can do.
Well, each basket feeds between 6 and 8 people. In all, 1,650 Thanksgiving baskets were all put together. Unions, churches, and other agencies will help distribute the boxes to Maine families who may be going through a hard time. What a nice thing they're doing there. Well, still to come here on the Morning Report, Ryan Sudol with all the day sports news. We'll also meet up with a group of students from the Lincoln area who are selling a special Mooseopoly game to help raise money. We'll tell you all about it when we come back.
Float to Fire Farms. Our products and staff are of the highest quality. Glassware, powerful puff, and CBD products. You'll be so happy your face will light up. 38 Storette Drive in Belfast.
There's never been a better time to get away. With a great deal on the Hyundai you've always wanted. Plus America's best warranty and up to 3 years complimentary maintenance. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now's the time to get in and get away.
Lease you'll drive on $29 a month or get 0% APR for 60 months plus payments for 90 days. See your Bangor Hyundai dealer.
Healing and massages tailored specifically for our clients. Massage a variety of different massage techniques and services. Healing Hands Massage also offers services such as facials, bodies, and wax. Looking for a day relaxation? Healing Hands Massage offers outstanding packages at rates. If you're looking for relief from chronic pain, stiffness, or want to treat yourself to a day of relaxation, Healing Massage is for you.
Hey, the wait over. DraftKings Sports that betting on Indian parties, spreads, money, props, and more. And I'm anywhere across the state. So get hyped, Maine. Download the app today and exclude offer now. In action. The crown is yours.
Float to Fire Farms. Our products and staff are of the high quality. Glassware, powerful puff, and CBD products. You'll be happy your face will light up. 38 Storette Drive in Belfast.
I'll go naked. I bet you will.
25 words or less every weekday.
At 9 on Fox 22.
Hey everybody, Ryan Sudol here. Thank you so much for joining us. For the third straight year, Foxcroft Academy football is gearing up for the Class D Gold Ball game. And if they can get past Wells, they'll be bringing it home for the third straight year too. Tyler Cruz has the story.
There are 3 things you can count on in November: cold overnights, Thanksgiving, and Foxcroft Academy playing for a gold ball.
It's a pretty special feeling to make a state championship, let alone 3 in a row.
In 2021, the Ponies were undefeated Class D champions. Last year, they rattled off a 1-loss season on their way to the title, and now they have the chance for their second perfect season in 3 years on Saturday.
It would be just a blessing. I mean, to be back in the game is a blessing in and of itself. We're so excited to compete on Saturday. To win a third one would be remarkable for this group of kids and for our program.
For the Ponies, a lot of it starts off the field, not just with their work ethic and their team chemistry, but literally right off the sideline years ago and then into the feeder program.
When I was 4 years old, we were out on the sidelines just throwing those little plastic footballs around that had the Pony sign on them. So it's a football town, so everybody's coming on Friday nights to come support us. So we usually have to put on a good show.
We've all been playing together since 3rd grade, and just definitely goes to show what having a good youth program does. We've all been playing for so long, and the hard work that we've all put in just goes to show.
For this year's team, one with 14 seniors on the roster, their work towards the next state title begins right when school gets out. And to see the goals they set in June be in reach in November is pretty cool.
Our goal was to get back. I mean, there's no question with 14 returning senior last year's team. We had a goal. We wanted back to this game. We're here.
I mean, ours started in June 14th, working out. That's what's for us, and that's why we are as we are.
If the Ponies get past Wells on Saturday, bringing home that three-peat is something that would mean the world to everyone, up and down and
it's a great thing back to the town.
It would be awesome. My whole school year would be made. that would do it.
From Foxcroft, I'm Tyler Cruz, ABC7 Fox 22 Sports.
Thanks. Out to some Maine women's basketball news. The school announcing Wednesday some big signings. Black Bears adding 2 great players from Maine to next year's team. First is Central's Izzy Allen. The senior averaged 26 points a game last year and is a 1,000 career point scorer for Maine. Izzy wants to get her every time she steps on the court and will give us another legit outside threat. Also seeing is Gatorade Player of the Year senior Maddie Fitzpatrick from Cheverus. Fitzpatrick averaged 17 points and 10 rebounds a game last year en route to the Class AA North Final. She also led the Stags to a state title in 2022. Okay, now to the New England Patriots. Pats returning to the practice field Wednesday for their first reps of the bye week, and we may have a clue to how the quarterback situation is being handled going forward. After being benched late in the Pats' loss Sunday to the Colts, Mac Jones taking first-team reps at practice. This comes as confidence in his abilities as QB and as a leader have come into question amongst the fan base and maybe even the team. Pats center David Andrews was asked if Jones is still seen as a leader in the locker room, and he didn't say yes.
Just because there's certain captains, I think that doesn't mean guys are, not leaders or leaders. I think, there's been a lot of guys I think that, haven't been captains or leaders and things like that. So, everyone can lead in their own way. I think he still has a lot of respect and, I think, we all just have to do a better job.
Interesting. Okay, finally, the Boston Celtics. Big game Wednesday. Celtics, the 2 seed in the East at the Sixers, the number 1 seed. Jaylen Brown and Porzingis not in the lineup. Let's see how they fare. Final minute of the first, Celtics up 8. Peyton Pritchard to Derek White on the wing. Got it from downtown. Celtics up 15 after 1. Celtics up now just 4 late in the second quarter. Tobias Harris goes baseline. Count that shot and 1. Sixers up 1 at the half after outscoring the C's by 16 in the quarter. Midway through the third, Celtics down 2 now. Jason Tatum to a wide open Al Horford from the top of the key, and his 3 gives them the lead. A lead they would not give up. And here's the dagger. A minute to go in the game. White to Tatum. Money. White had 27, Tatum with 29 as the Celtics regain the top spot in the East, 117 to 107. Okay, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Celebrate Maine artisans. Sampling, shop their best of Maine product at the Maine Harvest Festival, Cross Insurance Center, Bangor, November 18th and 19th. Presented by the Maine Harvest Festival.
Are your walls bowing, crumbling, or failing? Hi, I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. All things basementy. Our stable lock wall system offers a patented, affordable, and permanent solution to save your foundation walls. It stabilizes, fills voids, and structurally repairs, leaving a new smooth surface. All the strength of new walls. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
This Veterans Day, join Fox ABC Maine as we salute and honor our veterans. Are you an active, inactive, or retired member of the armed services? Do you know someone who is? Then upload your photos on foxbangor.com/Maine Heroes. We will randomly select multiple veterans to win a gift voucher from Chick-fil-A. Locally sponsored by Atlantic Designs, Graham's 5 and Dime Newport, Hashi Auto Enhancing Incorporated, and Joe's Furniture Warehouse.
The very best in Maine-made products, prepared and displayed just for you at the Maine Harvest Festival, Cross Insurance Center, Bangor, November 18th and 19th. Presented by the Maine Potato Board, MaineHarvestFestival.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we have a whole couch full of visitors here today to tell you about a very special thing that you could purchase perhaps for the holiday season coming up. It's part of a fundraiser. These are all students from Northern Penobscot Tech Region 3. Thanks for coming here today, guys.
Yeah.
We did a feature on their welding program a couple of weeks ago, but now we're going to be talking about something different. And let's see, I'll say your names real quick. We have Alec Grover down there on the end, Ethan Troxel right there, and Robbie Clendenning. Thanks again for all coming here. First of all, tell us about the programs you guys are involved in. To mention that.
Yes, so
a digital media program, is that?
Yes, so the full name is Digital Communications and Graphic. Name too long. We digital program. It's kind of general. Anything with computers, anything with cameras, anything like what we do up at Region. So.
It's going to teach you skills that you, it's any different out there today. You
Absolutely.
can use those skills. But of course, it takes money to run these kind of programs, and you guys have kind of come up with a neat way to raise money. Tell me about that.
Well, we created a board and it's a collaborative effort between us and the town of Lincoln, 5 in the district.
And we've got your game. It actually got ahead of time, but it disappeared. I think somebody from the station is actually playing it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mooseopoly, though, so neat, and it's kind of featuring some of the things that people will recognize from around the area.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Park Place, and they've kind of been changed into some local attractions, right?
Yeah, sort of. It's sort of inspired from famous games such like the changed it up and did the business names.
The different company lots actually, so they kind of advertise beyond something to help fundraise our trip.
So they're in the class at the same time.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing. Tell me about the process here. You came up with an idea, it's playing on Monopoly, but it's a good way. Who participated? How did it all come together?
Yes, so there was people from the class last year that participated. Almost, I think, every single person on both days sort of had a hand in it, and everybody sort of had a different job, from designing the board, writing up the cards, to even we had Isabel on the. You did the box text, I guess, or that was
Alex. I designed the box, and they did the instructions.
The instructions, that's what it was.
Yeah.
We did something like that.
How are they selling so far, and where do you get them?
Well, they're selling great, and you can get them at the Lincoln Walmart, right? Ethan?
No.
No.
You can get them at Lenny's.
Lenny's, that's
you
what
can
it
get
is.
them at you can contact school. And we're going to be doing a craft fair this Saturday.
Where's the craft fair?
Right at Random.
So that's and all money will go right back into the classroom.
Yep.
All right. What a great way to run it. And it's not the only thing you guys are doing is money either. Here, we have a coffee cup here. I don't know if you can zoom in and get a nice picture of that. Isn't that neat? Boy, who designed that? A real artist.
Thanks.
I think it's tell me about the cups. Where can people get those if they want them?
At the craft fair too.
At the craft fair as well. And what are they selling for? Do you know?
It depends on the cup.
Oh, you have the cups.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have 20-ounce tumblers. We have 16-ounce tumblers. We have glass tumblers. We have those ones, and we have kids tumblers as well.
Fantastic. So it sounds like you want to get an early start to your holiday shopping. This coming up crafts fair is a good way to go make some gifts in your home, but also supporting a wonderful educational program for these guys right here.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Not just at the crafts fair, though. Look around for the game find. Hopefully you'll buy lots of those to help them out. Hey, guys, thanks for coming in. I know you guys got school today, but you coming in late.
Absolutely.
All right. Now we're going to send it over to Deb Cast.
And thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Full weather forecast brought to you by Joe's Market. Discover Joe's Market, 102 Garland, Bangor. Your one-stop shop for groceries, fine wines, and beers. All variety of weight at Joe's. As we get into things this morning, a partly cloudy sky is being seen across the region, tracking from the northwest and going toward the south and east. We have a cold front tracking in from the north and west and going toward the south and east. As we do move forward for today, we'll be watching for a little bit of wind up to around 20 miles per hour in a few spots as we do move forward. Wave heights right around 3 to 9 feet according to the buoys out there, courtesy of an area low pressure located out towards sea right now. We'll be watching out for a little bit more wind as we do move forward. A partly cloudy sky will be common for us today. We'll be watching out for a mostly clear sky for a while later on tonight. Maybe some areas of dense fog developing as we head towards early Friday morning, and more clouds developing again as we head throughout the afternoon period for your Friday as well. Now as we move forward, though, we're going to be watching for a little bit more rain on the way as we head towards early Saturday morning, continuing throughout the day Saturday as well, with some gusty winds up to around 20 to 25 miles per hour. A little bit of snow will be passing through as we head towards Saturday night and the parts of Sunday morning. But once we get this out of here, though, we'll be looking pretty good as we head towards your Sunday. Otherwise, though, rainfall around 1 to 2 inches of rain possible in a few spots before we're all finished up. So locally higher amounts will be possible with the rainfall as we head towards your Saturday as well. Make sure we're ready for that. Maybe a little bit of gusty winds today up to 20 miles per hour. Backs off later on tonight as we head towards tomorrow. Some more gusty winds will be on the way, reaching up around 25 miles per hour at times. So that forecast coming up for today, lower 50s, partly cloudy and breezy. That northwest wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour at times. Overnight tonight, upper 20s, partly cloudy. That south wind at around 5 miles per hour. For tomorrow, middle 50s, mostly cloudy, warm and breezy. And that south wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour. Here's a look at your extended forecast brought to you by Joe's Market. Rain will be likely on Saturday, highs in the low 50s, lower 40s Sunday in a partly cloudy sky, and lots of sunshine on Monday with highs in the upper 30s.
Now what? You say it when getting older starts getting old. At Prudential, we think you should ask it when your birthday opens up a new chapter. Like when you realize you've got the rest of your life to look forward to. Ask, now what? Here's what. You tap into the insurance, investment, and retirement expertise of Prudential and get everything you need to help ensure the best is yet to come. Who's your rock? Speak to an advisor or visit Prudential.com.
The clock is ticking on the Toyota year-end closeout, so don't miss out on spectacular year-end closeout savings.
Time to get them, don't want to miss a thing.
You can get 3.99 financing on a rugged Tacoma, which could save you up to $2,100. Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance and Toyota Safety Sense technology. See your New England Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters.
Don't wanna miss a thing.
Toyota, let's go places.
My father started a roofing company in the 1970s.
Back when asbestos was still commonly used in Maine.
When George was diagnosed with mesothelioma, we knew there wasn't a cure yet, but we knew he needed help.
We called Joe Bornstein's office because this family means business.
Their team is handling everything, representing Mainers who were victims of asbestos exposure.
We highly recommend the law offices of Joe Bornstein.
Call Joe today for a free case evaluation. There's never a fee unless you win.
We're here today to set the record straight about Dupuytren's contracture. Surgery is not your only treatment option. People may think their contracture has to be severe to be treated, but it doesn't. Visit findahandspecialist.com today to get started.
Watching local news just got a little easier. You can now binge watch local news on the all-new foxbangor.com website. Watch local news uninterrupted with just a click.
More Americans are turning to TikTok for the news. A new study from the Pew Research Center found the percentage of TikTok users who access the app for news rose from 22% in 2022 to 43% this year. The study says about half of all U.S. adults get a good chunk of their news from social media. Facebook is still users' #1 choice when it comes to getting the news, but TikTok has had the most growth of any social media platform since 2020. So what's in a name? A new survey says pop culture is an influencer when it comes to pet names. The world's largest online marketplace for pet care, Rover.com, released its 11th annual Top Pet Names Report and Trends of 2023. This year's top dog name is Charlie, surpassing Max for the first time in 11 years. Luna is #1 for female dogs and cats, with Oliver keeping pace as the most popular name for a male cat. The findings also show pet parents are drawing inspiration from iconic entertainers, athletes, blockbuster hits, food, and tech trends. When it comes to naming their pets, Taylor Swift-inspired names soared on this year's list, following her world tour, and the name Kelsey, relating to Taylor Swift's NFL boyfriend Travis Kelce, taking center stage on the gridiron. The name Barbie is trending up 23% for cats with the popularity of the movie. And the report analyzes millions of pet names provided to Rover by pet parents, which are then analyzed. So there you go, some of the most popular pet names of the year. I just got a cat and we named him Dude. What do you say about that? I don't know, it's perfect for him. Well, that's it for now, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Go out and get yourself a copy of the Moosopoly game. You'll be helping some local students. Have a great day.